At some point, someone probably told you that the goal is to make money while you sleep. And it sounds right. It sounds like the thing financially free people do. So you looked into it. Maybe you watched some videos, read some articles, and what you found was dropshipping, print on demand, affiliate marketing, real estate, dividend stocks, YouTube channels, digital products. And somewhere in the middle of all that, you felt two things at once. Optimistic, because the possibilities seemed real, and quietly exhausted, because every single one of those things looked like a second job. Which raises an obvious question that almost nobody asks directly. If passive income requires this much active work to set up, is it actually passive? And if it's not, what is the realistic version of this idea for someone with a regular salary and a regular life? That's what this video is actually about. Let's meet Marcus. He's 31, lives in a mid-sized European city, Rotterdam, let's say, though it could just as easily be Minneapolis or Lyon. He works in operations at a logistics company. After tax and social contributions, he takes home about €3,200 a month. Solid, stable, not extravagant. His life looks like this. Rent, €1,100. He shares a building with mostly young professionals like himself. It's fine. It's functional. Health insurance and miscellaneous mandatory contributions, €180. Car. He financed it 3 years ago, still 18 months left on the loan, €320 a month. Insurance on top, €95. Student loan, which he's been quietly servicing since 25, €240. Phone, internet, subscriptions, €110. Groceries, transport, and daily life, €380. Social life, dinners, weekends, the occasional trip, €250. That brings him to roughly €2,675 a month in outgoings. He has about €525 left. Some months more, some months less. He tries to save when he can. Now here's the important thing about Marcus. He's thought about passive income. He's genuinely interested in the idea. He actually tried once to start a small affiliate blog about tech products. He worked on it for about 4 months, wrote 11 articles, earned €34 in 18 months, and quietly let the domain expire. He didn't fail because he wasn't smart enough or disciplined enough. He failed because nobody told him the realistic version of how passive income actually works and how long it actually takes before he started. The phrase passive income has a marketing problem. It's been used so aggressively by so many people selling courses and YouTube thumbnails that it stopped meaning anything real. And in that noise, a very specific misunderstanding has taken root. The misunderstanding is this, that passive income is a category of activity, something you choose to do, like picking up a new hobby, start a YouTube channel, build a product, launch a course. But that's not what passive income is, structurally. Not really. Passive income is a property of capital. It's what happens when you own something, an asset that generates a return without requiring your continued labor to maintain it. The distinction matters enormously, because if passive income is a category of activity, then the question is, which activity should I start? But if passive income is a property of capital, then the question is, how do I acquire capital? And those two questions lead you in completely different directions. Marcus spent 4 months building a blog because he thought the answer was the first question. Which activity? He chose writing. It didn't work fast enough, and he stopped. But the people who are actually earning money while they sleep, not the ones selling courses about it, the ones genuinely doing it, almost all arrived there the same way, not by finding the right side hustle, by accumulating assets quietly over years. And the simplest, most accessible version of that process requires no business idea, no content creation, and no special skill. It just requires money being in the right place. Here's why this is hard to accept. Buying an index fund, putting €200 a month into a low-cost, broad market fund and leaving it there does not feel like doing something. It feels like almost nothing. It's boring. There's no feedback loop. Nobody congratulates you. The number in your account goes up by a small amount, and then sometimes it goes down, and there's nothing to show anyone at a dinner party. Whereas, starting a YouTube channel, or building a Shopify store, or launching a digital product, those feel like doing something. There's activity, there's effort, there's a narrative. I'm building something. And that narrative feels like it should lead somewhere. Psychologists call this the effort heuristic. We are wired to believe that outcomes are proportional to visible effort, that if something feels like work, it must be building towards something. And if something feels passive, like an automatic transfer to an investment account, it can't really be doing much. But compounding doesn't care how it feels. €200 a month, invested consistently for 25 years at a 7% average annual return, boring, automatic, unremarkable, becomes approximately €162,000. Not from €200 a month feeling significant, just from time and consistency and an asset that earns while you do nothing. Marcus put 4 months of evenings into a blog that earned €34. That same 4 months of consistent €200 investments, left alone for 25 years, would have contributed roughly €20,000 to his eventual total. Not immediately, but eventually, and certainly. The blog earned €34. The invisible transfer to a fund earned €20,000 in slow motion. And the blog felt like work. The transfer felt like nothing. Let's stay with the numbers for a moment, because this is where it gets genuinely interesting. At Marcus's income level, saving €200 a month is tight but possible. We established he has roughly €525 left after expenses. €200 is just under 40% of that. Uncomfortable, but doable. Now let's say he doesn't. Let's say he keeps telling himself he'll start when he earns more, when the car loan is paid off, when things settle down a bit. That's an entirely human response, and it has a cost. Every year he delays starting costs him, in long-term compounding terms, roughly €9,000 to €12,000 in final value, depending on market returns. Not because €200 a month is worth that, but because the first years of compounding create the foundation that every subsequent year grows on top of. The first €200 he invests at 31 has 34 years to compound before he's 65. The €200 he invests at 41 has only 24 years. The difference in final value between those two contributions alone is more than €2,000 from a single month's investment. That's the actual cost of waiting. Not drama, not catastrophe, just a quiet, invisible erosion of future wealth that happens one reasonable-seeming delay at a time. And on the other end of this, the thing Marcus thinks of as passive income, the thing he wants, looks like this. At 65, with €162,000 in accumulated investments, if he moves that into something that yields 4% annually, which is a conservative withdrawal estimate used by many financial planners, he earns roughly €6,500 a year without touching the principal, about €540 a month. That's not retirement on its own, but it's €540 a month, arriving without him doing a single thing, permanently. That is what making money while you sleep actually looks like. Not at month 4 of a blog, but at year 30 of boring, consistent investing. Now let's look at someone who understood this early. Her name is Priya, also 31, lives in London, takes home about £2,900 a month after tax, roughly comparable to Marcus in purchasing power terms. Priya also thought about passive income in her mid-20s. She also watched the videos. She also felt the pull of doing something more interesting than just saving. But she made one different decision. She decided to separate the question of investing from the question of building something. Investing, she decided, would be automatic and boring. £250 a month, transferred on payday before anything else, into a stocks and shares ISA, a tax-advantaged account available in the UK, similar to a Roth IRA in the US, invested in a total market index fund. She set it up in about 40 minutes, and she has not meaningfully thought about it since. That's the passive income engine. Boring, reliable, running quietly in the background. Separately, she also tried building things. She started a small Substack newsletter about urban planning, a subject she genuinely knew and cared about. She didn't think of it as passive income. She thought of it as a creative project that might eventually earn something. Some months it does, about £80 to £120. Some months nothing. She doesn't depend on it. Here's what's different about Priya's framework. She never confused the two things. The investment is the wealth builder. The newsletter is the experiment. She doesn't need the newsletter to succeed for her financial future to be on track. Marcus, by contrast, invested everything, his hope, his free evenings, his financial expectations, into the blog. When it didn't work, the whole idea of passive income collapsed for him. He stopped believing it was real. The practical difference between them in 15 years will not be talent. It will be that Priya started an automatic transfer at 27 and Marcus is still deciding. Making money while you sleep is a real thing. It is not a fantasy, but it looks almost nothing like how it's usually sold. It doesn't look like a laptop on a beach. It doesn't look like a Shopify store that runs itself. It rarely looks like a YouTube channel paying your rent within 6 months. It looks like an automatic transfer that happens before you can spend the money. It looks like an index fund that nobody is watching on a Tuesday afternoon. It looks like compound interest doing something invisible and powerful over a time horizon longer than most people are willing to think about. The reason this isn't more widely understood is partly because it doesn't make for exciting content. There's no story arc in "I set up an automatic transfer and waited." There's no drama, no grind montage, no transformation. But there is an outcome, a real one, arrived at slowly, mathematically, without requiring you to become a different kind of person or find the right business idea. The realistic version of passive income starts with one question. What do I own that earns while I'm not working? And the most accessible answer for most people in their 20s and 30s is not a product or a platform. It's a small fraction of the entire global economy, bought cheaply and automatically and left alone. That's it. If that framing was useful, if this is the kind of financial thinking you want more of, there's more here worth watching. And alike, if you found value in this, helps this reach someone who needs to hear it.